What's up, everybody? How we all doing? Hope you're having a fantastic Monday. Let's freaking go. Okay, gotta make sure that I'm live on Instagram as well. So let's take care of that. Oh, getting a call. Hi, I'm live, just FYI. Ah, okay. Well, just give me like a context clue word about what it's about. Got it. Okay. No problem. Okay. I literally just clicked the live button. It's all good. Well, is it like urgent? Intermediate? You can't give me one clue word that no one else would know? Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, let me well, you'll see me. You'll see me live and then I won't be live. Okay, if it's urgent, just text me and I'll. Oh, I gotcha. Ah, okay. All right. Well, it's not like urgent enough for me to like go off live. Okay. Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, then I will chat with you soon. Okay. Bye. Oh. Oh, good. You made it. Yay. Yay. Okay, good. All right. Okay. Thanks. Bye. Oh, just my squad, just my team being cute, filling me in with all the things. Okay, what's up, you guys? Happy Monday. Hope you're doing awesome. Hope you had a good weekend. I had a lovely weekend. Grandma's in town, my mother-in-law, and she has been playing with the kiddos. It's been super fun having her here. This weekend we actually went to Busch Gardens with the kiddos. I got to go on a date with the hubby, so that was fun. So many different things. So we're doing real estate today. Today I filmed some content for my new listing that just went live. So those of you that have clients, or if you are looking yourself, hi, what's up? Your usual girl. Glad to have you here. So you guys, I have this new listing. Go check it out. It's 7206 River Country Drive in Weeki Wachee, Florida, like Spring Hill area. And it's really, really cool. It has so when you open up the front door, it goes into like the front door opens to the courtyard with the screened in, the pool, hot tub, outdoor fireplace, like everything. And then the house is built in a U shape all around the pool. So almost every single room of the entire house has a door that opens into the pool courtyard area. Really freaking cool. Listed for $899,000. And it has a separate, so there's the main house that has 3 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms. What's up, Peter? My grandma came and she's from out of town, but she left today. Oh, that's awesome. Grandma time is the best. So anyways, the main house has 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, the kitchen, living room, great room, all the things. And then there's a separate 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, Jack and Jill bathroom suite that is completely separate from the house, but it's still under the courtyard area. So it has a separate entrance, a separate pool entrance to get into the suite, and you can get there through the front door. So it'd be great for Airbnb, great for like older children or like whatever, or multi-generational living. It's all one level. So super, super cool. If you guys are interested at all in that, I'm gonna actually be posting about that, a little walkthrough green screen video of that. And then you can check it out online. And it's 7206 River Country Drive. Real estate rehabber, what's up? Oh, the address, 7206 River Country Drive. And depending on how you Google it, some of the websites say that it's Spring Hill, Florida. Some of them say Weeki Wachee, Florida. So any hoozles, there you go. So what's up, real estate rehabber? I talked to the other Jen, the lender Jen, and I signed up for your website thing. So we should chat soon because she said that you had a lot of cool things to connect with real estate agents, and she told me kind of the concept of it. So we should connect for sure. If you go to my profile link, you can schedule a call with me there, and you can do like the brand collab one. Okay, cool. Is Airbnb even worth it anymore? Ooga booga, that is, you know what? That's a whole other topic in and of itself. It's not my special. My specialty is real estate. Airbnb. I think it just depends. I think it's, I know there's lots of new rules and regulations with that. So, I don't want to advise anybody, but I think it just depends on the area, depends on how oversaturated an area is with Airbnb. So I know a lot of investors are switching gears into like boutique hotels. Actually, Airbnb transitioned into like experiences and things like that you can also book. So lots to talk about there, but that's a whole another thing for a different day. What I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I'm going to kind of deep dive into a little bit of it, but obviously you see this, the Hype Collective. So, launched my real estate coaching platform and program that real estate agents that you guys can be a part of now. Before this, which I still run, is what I call the Hype Squad. It's my organization within my brokerage where I coach and train real estate agents, and they have their license here and all the things. But I just opened up a coaching program where you can be an agent with any brokerage and be licensed anywhere on the globe and be a part of the Hype Collective. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about that. We actually just had our first group coaching call last Tuesday. And I do live group coaching calls every second and fourth Tuesday of the month. Plus, you get access to this vault, which this is just a screenshot to kind of show you all the things, not all of it, but it's just a tidbit of what's in this vault, which is insane. There's so much stuff for real estate agents in there. And then I also give you guys private access to my community within Discord. So you get to collaborate with everyone that's in the collective. So super cool to be able to be in community with people that are like-minded and that want to be successful and want to level up their business. So what I wanted to do today is actually like deep dive into some of the things that are in the vault. So I can give you guys like a rundown of everything that's in there, but I wanted to specifically just pick one of the folders and show you the type of information that's in there. So one of the folders that we have in the Hype Collective, oh, and by the way, if you want to find out more, if you go to my profile link and you click on the first button, you'll see Hype Collective, and it'll bring you to a web page that tells you all the things that it comes with. And then you can go to the checkout page and either choose to pay monthly or for the full year up front. I think we did the math, and it's like, I don't know, less than $6 a day, like of an investment to be able to have access to live coaching and this vault with insane tools, tactics, scripts, AI tools and resources. We've got like a whole chat GPT section that you can learn about for beginners, intermediate, and advanced ways to use chat GPT in your real estate business. We have, open house stuff, lead generation, luxury, if you want to build out your luxury platform, so many different things in there. So you can go check that out in my profile link. So one of the folders that we have in there is mindset and sales psychology. And we have a number of folders within that. And so one of the things is like understanding the financial landscape and understanding how our clients make decisions and whatnot. So I wanted to like read some of the things in here. Oh, thank you, Jerber. Yeah, it's $5.48 a day. So literally buy one less coffee a day and boom, there's your investment into yourself and into your business to join the Hype Collective. Thank you for that, sir. Appreciate you. Always got my team in my ear behind, just helping me out. Okay. Perfect. Okay. All right. My team is doing all the things for me. Oh, you guys, and I have a listing that I need to sell in Washington State. So I've got my Florida listing that I just activated. I also have one in Washington right now. It's 635,000. It was brand new construction, I think in 2021, 2022 time. Beautiful. Got like the waterfall countertops, like the granite, like where like the granite goes on the top and all the way down. Super cute. And in a really awesome neighborhood. Okay. Don't feed Starbucks, feed yourself. Yes, 100%. Love that. Okay, cool. So let's dive into this. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of the type of topics that not only I'll be coaching about, but also the types of tools and resources that you can find within the vault in the Hype Collective. So if you guys have any very cool, oh, I missed these. Sorry. Hi, very cool. Awesome. Yes, absolutely. Hey, Nicole. Oh my gosh, it's been a minute. How are you? So glad to see you. And Jessica's here. Yes. What's going on, you guys? Jessica is in the Hype Collective. Tell us what you think, girl. She's had some time with the vault, so it's been cool to get your guys' feedback and all the things. Waterfall, yes. Real estate rehabber. If you guys know what I'm talking about, if you don't, go look up waterfall countertops. Like literally, it's so unnecessary, but it's so awesome. It looks so cool. Any hoozles. Yes. Okay, cool. Sorry, I missed your guys' comments because I'm looking at other things. Okay, so what we need to do is understand the financial landscape as a whole for our clients so that we can advise them better. Not that we need to be we're definitely not financial advisors unless you are licensed. We're not lenders, right? So there's certain things that we can't necessarily advise people on, but just having a basic understanding of it, super important. And especially to help them, our clients, make informed decisions that benefit both buyers and sellers, because obviously finances are a huge piece in people moving and making good decisions. So things like market conditions, pricing strategies, financial indicators, all of those things obviously play a crucial role in determining whether the property transaction is successful. And you're a big piece of that, being that middle person, that rock for your clients and just everything and all the other people that are involved in it. So in this particular section of the sales psychology for real estate, it explains why understanding that financial landscape is critical for just maximizing the value of the real estate transaction. And if you don't grasp these principles, you're going to have missed opportunities and unrealized potential and less likelihood that you're going to get referrals. So like the financial ecosystem, if we were to think about it that way, real estate doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's very interconnected we've got broader economic trends and local market factors. So to understand how that operates, you have to recognize like the key components of that entire financial landscape. So the three that are key to understand are the market trends. And those are those economic indicators like interest rates, inflation, employment levels, like all the things that impact real estate prices. So having that broad market trend idea about what's going on a macro level and a micro level in whatever area that they're looking to buy or sell. So you need to know if those market trends are trending up, down, sideways, and then how those patterns impact the pricing strategies and then therefore their investment decisions. So big component is the market trends. The second thing is client expectations versus market reality. Okay, buyers and sellers, they often come into transactions with their own set of expectations about pricing and value. So understanding how those expectations match or don't match the broader market data, that's really, really crucial to educate them on that so that you can have effective negotiations and a built out strategy to get them ultimately what they want for the best terms. And then the third component of that would be the importance of timing. So you got to understand the timing of a sale or a purchase in relation to those market conditions. That can dramatically affect the financial outcome of that. I think real estate agents, sometimes we don't realize how big of an impact we have on that. So in that section, we'll dive deeper into these, but we're going to emphasize how that market cycle, the buyers versus sellers market, and how you should inform your clients and what approach they should have to whatever real estate transaction that they're doing. So another goal of the reason why it's important to understand that financial landscape is to avoid the common mistake of, no one wants to leave money on the table, right? And that's, as real estate agents, we want to be able to show somebody why they should choose you, and to show them, hey, this is how I'm going to help you not leave money on the table. So whether it's underpricing a property or overpricing it and actually having to end up taking less than what they should have, or missing out on prime market conditions, or just misunderstanding buyer motivations, seller motivations, lots of opportunity for value to slip through the cracks if you don't understand this stuff. So first of all, see that to I think I still need to do my homework. That's okay, Jessica. You have 2 weeks to do it. So you're less than 1 week away from when I assigned it. So you are good. But yeah, those little. So just so you guys know, speaking of homework, so when you join the Hype Collective, I don't just give you information and just whatever. We set mini little homework examples for you guys to do each every 2 weeks when I do the coaching calls. So it keeps you engaged and it actually solidifies what you learn and what we talk about in those coaching sessions. So it's not designed to be busy work. It's genuinely, it's things that I have either learned or developed over time to actually enhance what it is that you're doing and help you start to create a pattern if you were to continue doing whatever it is that we're talking about. So we talked about confidence in conversations for our first group coaching session last week. And so we had a little bit of homework around that in reframing maybe a past objection that you didn't handle very well, or an objection that that makes you squirm. Different ways to rephrase and how to handle that objection so that next time you know how to handle that better. So anyways, thank you for that. Okay, cool. So going back to that, underpricing. Okay. So this doesn't happen very often, right? Because most of the time, sellers have an overinflated view of what their property is worth. But underpricing still, it does happen. And a seller may undervalue their property that would lead to a quicker sale. Yes, but they're potentially going to leave significant equity on the table if they do that. So, having an understanding of that, but then on the flip side of that, which is more common, which is overpricing, that definitely can cause sellers to leave money on the table if they do that, not from the sale price, but from prolonged time on the market and then having to do price reductions, and then the perceived value goes down. So I've seen it time and time again, where sellers, they'll list properties with or without an agent, and then it sits on the market. They don't do strategic price drops, or they don't do them quick enough, and then they end up selling for significantly less than what they could have gotten if they would have just priced it right. So being able to properly explain that, show people why. No, it's because a lot of times people think that like this is a a situation where you're bartering, right? You go to an open air market or like whatever, and some prices are just negotiable, and you walk in and say, oh, I'll pay this for that. Oh, you want to start high because someone else is going to cut low, and then you'll meet in the middle. It doesn't always work like that. And in fact, it actually works against you more often than not to overprice, especially in certain markets. It's more devastating than other markets. So understanding the differences in those and how to properly explain that. But 9 times out of 10, not a good idea to overprice. And then also missed investment opportunities. So investors who don't understand broader economic indicators or market cycles, they could miss out on prime opportunities for that long-term wealth building that they're trying to get. So these are just some of the different ways that you can leave money on the table, and how you can explain to your clients, like, we shouldn't do this or we should do that, in order to not leave money on the table. And what this is ultimately going to do, it's going to build client trust and confidence. So if clients understand the financial impact of their decisions, they're going to feel more secure in their choices, and of course, more confident in you being the person to help them. So it's our job to educate them, to help them grasp what's going on in the market conditions. And you're going to improve your credibility doing that, and your likelihood of closing the deal if you're giving them good information. And then you're going to maximize your commission potential too, right? So the better you understand the financial landscape, the better you can price properties, the better you can make smart investment decisions and help your clients do that and advise them on those best strategies. That's ultimately going to lead more successful transactions and justify you charging the commissions that you charge. So that's just kind of like an overview of one of the sales psychology sections in the vault. And we can go deeper into that, but I want to see where you guys are at, what questions you have. If this is the kind of stuff that you, as real estate agents, like, do you have a good grasp on this? Is this the kind of stuff, like, do you study these things? Do you look at market trends? Do you understand how to talk with a client about why they shouldn't overprice their property, or talk to a buyer about why you shouldn't lowball a particular property that they want to offer on? So otherwise, let's just dive into it. If you guys don't have any questions, or if there's another topic, or even those of you, because I know we've got a couple people in here that are in the Hype Collective. If there's stuff in the vault too, if you guys are like, ooh, I want to talk about this, like whatever, but I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling a little sales psychology today. So that's where my mind's at today. So, speaking of psychology, so understanding the psychology behind real estate sales, obviously super crucial for tailoring your approach, both with buyers and with sellers, and then filter down from that. What is the buyer's budget? What are the locations that they are? What is the landscape happening, right? So people's decisions aren't always rational or purely based on data, right? We make emotional decisions and then we find facts to justify it. That's how most people make decisions. So those emotions, their perceptions of things, and everyone has psychological triggers. We have our own worldview. So this next section in the vault, it's going to explore how the market perception shapes the client behavior, and then how you can use that knowledge to then guide your clients through that decision making process. So when you master the sales psychology, you can better manage their expectations, address their concerns, and then ultimately close more deals, which is what we're all going for. So I want to talk about the role of emotions in real estate transactions. So, obviously, if any of you have been selling real estate for any length of time, or worked with people, or even talked with people, it's one of the largest financial investments that any person makes in their lifetime, right? It is a big deal. And when something is a big deal, there's going to be emotions involved. And they play a really, really big role in it. Both buyers and sellers, they have deeply, personal stakes in that transaction, and those emotions can affect how they perceive the market and dictate what their expectations are. So if you're working with buyers, they're gonna top thing that I hear, fear of overpaying, right? They're afraid of paying too much for a property, especially if it's in a competitive market, like COVID, right? People having to like give up their firstborn in order to get a house. And that fear can cause indecision, hesitation. I can't tell you how many buyers that I worked with back during that time, where a lot of them, they're especially first timers, they were afraid to make a move, and they're like, oh, this is, top of my budget, or, oh, like I feel like I'm having to just give. But if you can relax and calm their fears about overpaying by knowing what's going on in the landscape, by understanding long-term investment decisions, that's going to help you manage those emotions. um okay, I have to keep going back and forth. Ooh, yes, brain stuff. Okay, what are you saying, Jer? Oh, the kitties. You guys, Jeremy just had my admin, Jer Bear. It's giving history. Oh, your kitties are so cute. Anyways, okay, so he's back home. Got to see his little kitties. Um, Okay, so another thing, just speaking of emotions for buyers, excitement and aspirations, right? They also, when we're talking buyers, they've got hopes, they've got dreams, and imagining is part of the future in whatever home that they're going to buy. So that emotional connection can sometimes cloud their judgment, leading to impulse decisions. I had one client just recently who, was overly expressive when it was clearly the house that she wanted to buy, and she was overly expressive, and unfortunately the sellers happened to be there, and she was just about all the things, and I'm just like, no, did we not talk about not overstating your opinions and your emotions, right? So it's like addressing these emotions and telling them and creating a roadmap of what we do with them. And the more time that you spend, the more that you know someone's motivation, you know their personality type, you can kind of guide that so that it's not a detriment to them, right? And then, of course, trust and relationship building. So, establishing trust with them by doing these things and helping guide them and being an educator is absolutely critical. If buyers feel like they're being guided through the process with their best interests in mind, they're going to be more likely to feel confident in their decision and then proceed with the next step, whether that's making an offer or negotiating repairs or whatever, moving to the closing table. So, those are kind of the main emotion pieces with buyers. Now, there's tons of things to overcome all within that, right? Like, oh, interest rates, or can I afford this, or whatever. Okay. But those are just some top things. And then with seller emotions, number one thing, attachment to the property, right? They've got that emotional attachment. Their kids were born there. They've lived there for 30 years. They've, know every single nook and cranny to it. So they've got an emotional attachment to it. And then they have fear of losing value, right? Buyers fear overpaying, sellers fear losing value. So they may think that their home's value might decline, especially if it's in a buyer's market, and it might lead them to price too aggressively or hesitate in negotiations. Like they'll take it personal if they they perceive, as getting a lowball offer that's going to take it personal because they feel personal about their house. And so instead of just looking at it as numbers, like we are trained to do as real estate agents, they're going to be emotional about whatever that offer comes in if it's not what they expect. And then they also have a desire for a quick sale, right? They may feel pressure to sell quickly due to a life event, like if they get a job transfer or they got financial stress or whatever. And that urgency can also influence their willingness to accept lower offers than they should, maybe, or settle for less than they originally wanted, or hesitate or pause or whatever when they shouldn't. Um, so, you guys, all that being said, the way that clients perceive the market can drastically affect their behavior around all of those emotions. It's not always about the actual market conditions, but it's about how the market feels to them. So, like, for example, if a buyer believes that housing prices are going to raise, they might rush to make offers, right? That doesn't happen as often. But they might have FOMO, fear of missing out, if they don't, act now. Similarly, if the market feels saturated, sellers might become discouraged and then expect offers lower than what they could actually get, or it might not sell in the time frame that I need, things like that. So let's talk a little bit about perception of those market trends. So we've got seller's market versus buyer's market, right? We hear that all the time. And in a seller's market where there's high demand and low inventory, buyers may feel more pressure to act quickly, right? Because it feels like the sellers have more leverage, leading them to have to offer higher prices or have fewer contingencies, right? And then in a buyer's market, you've got sellers that may feel discouraged by either lowball offers or longer days on market, especially in a market shift. I know a lot of areas. I know, the areas that I sell real estate in, there's definitely a shift on days on market. I ended up actually calling one of my clients, my seller client in Washington, just last week, and we hit the 60-day mark on the market. And I was starting to feel, because what's interesting is we've been getting consistent showings for the 30 days. Some weeks higher showings than others, but we have not gone a week where we didn't have any showings. We have had at least one showing every single week that it's been on the market for whatever the last 8 weeks. And so we're getting good traction, and the feedback that we're getting is stuff that they can't control. There's not that much parking. Okay. They can't pick up their house and move it somewhere else and create more parking. Right. So most of the things that we're hearing about that property is stuff that they just can't change. We're just going to have to find a buyer that's okay with not as much street parking. Okay. So especially when you continually get feedback as an agent that about the house that you can't control, it's, either it's price or, kind of waiting for that right buyer that doesn't make a difference for. And so I actually, because I was starting to feel inside, not that they were saying anything, but I'm like, oh gosh, we're past that 60-day mark now. I'm just going to call them instead of being afraid to lean in and talk to my clients about, like, hey, how you feeling? Like, are you getting stressed? Are you worried at all? Like, and I ended up having a great conversation with the wife, and we had probably about a 25-minute conversation about all that. And turns out she's like, no, she's like, we didn't expect it to take this long, but we're not stressed. We're not like strapped or anything. And I said, okay, well, here's the good news. The good news is we have gotten continual showings, and I just looked it up, and the average days on market for this area is 67 days, and we haven't even hit 67 days yet. We're getting close, but like that's just the average. Some houses take longer than that, and yeah, some takes fewer, but I'm not stressed. I'm not worried. We're getting consistent showings. I know the marketing is working because we're getting people in there. And we have, we had done a slight price improvement few weeks ago as well. So sometimes it's just having that conversation with your clients, and instead of being afraid and not saying anything and hoping they're not mad, but leaning into it and addressing it before they bring it to you. That is a pro tip of a lot of pro tips to do that with your clients. I know you're afraid sometimes to have that conversation. But I find that if you lean into it and you initiate the things that you think they might be thinking, it ends up going better than you expected in the beginning. Okay, so where were we at? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the influence of competition. So if we're talking buyer competition, in highly competitive markets, the fear of losing out to another buyer can definitely drive buyers to act. And oftentimes they may have to make offers above asking price, right? So that's Buyer competition that can have an influence in buyer decisions. And then seller competition on the flip side of that, in a competitive market, may try to test the market by listing at a higher price, but they often face the risk of alienating serious buyers if the price doesn't reflect the market reality. And I notice that this happens a lot when the trend shifts to from a seller's market where they have a lot more leverage into more of a balanced or buyer's market. One of the worst things sellers can do is test it, because I saw this happen in like the past 6 months as that transition was happening. The sellers who priced high, buyers wouldn't they're like, oh, seller, like they're just unreasonable and we don't even want to make offers on that. So oftentimes they are missing out on legitimate buyers if they overprice like that. And people think, oh, let's list it high and buyers, they can just come in with their offers. That's not always how it works out. Some buyers, a lot of buyers, especially in those transitions, will actually opt to just not even make an offer or not even go look at it if they think that the seller is overpriced and unwilling to negotiate. So it can bite you in the butt. So those different competitions, whether it's a buyer's or seller's market or anything in between, important to know that. So that way, when you're talking to a seller, maybe in that standpoint that has the opinion that, oh, let's start high, and then buyers will just make offers if they want, and we'll entertain them all. Doesn't always work that way. So if you guys are just joining, what's up? My name is Jen, and I am talking about some sales psychology right now. And if you didn't know, you are now able to join the Hype Collective. We had our first group coaching call last week, and it is now live and active. You guys should come join. It's okay that you missed the first one. I record everything and upload that into the vault. So every time I have a live coaching session with everyone on the Hype Collective, it gets recorded. So if you have to miss one, no big deal. And we have access to this vault, which is insane, tons of stuff in there. So you guys can check that out, and you get access to my private area in my Discord channel for just the Hype Collective members only. So you can collaborate, co-work with them. There's a virtual office in there, which is really, really great to connect with people. So yeah, that's the Hype Collective, and it is available now. So go check out my profile link. It'll bring you to a page that tells you all about it and what you get and all the things. And we did the math, and it costs less than $6 a day to invest in yourself to be a part of the community. So go check that out. All right, let's go back into, we're talking about, I'm diving deep into just one section that is in the vault that you get instant access to as soon as you sign up. And so we're going over like the psychology of sales, and in particular market perception, and and how we handle that and how we handle those conversations with buyers and sellers. Okay, let's talk about the pricing perception I touched on a little bit, but overpricing. So when a property is priced too high, like what I was saying, it can discourage buyers, especially if they see comparable homes that are priced lower, which is why I always, doesn't matter when I have the listing appointment with the seller, whether we're a week out or 7 weeks out from listing it, I will always double check what is newly sold or came active on the market or recently went pending since I had that conversation with them, because it doesn't happen all the time, but occasionally what will happen, and this is actually what just happened to my listing in Washington that I was talking about earlier. What literally the same day that we put up their property, the very next door neighbor, same street, right next to them, and they're on a corner lot, so they only have one neighbor right next to them, happened to go on the market exact same day, similar price point. Okay, and so those things can happen, and if you don't know about it, and your client comes to you and be like, oh, by the way, this property just went, and so they're instantly going to start to go into compare mode, and now you have another competitor on the market that is going to impact yours. And what I talk about with my seller clients in particular is, hey, you want to beat your competition in either price or amenities, like the condition and finishes and things like that, and ideally both, if you want your house to sell versus your house helping other people's house sell. Because when you're running comps and you're looking in that area, the reason why I look at active comps in addition to the sold comps, we let the sold comps in the last 6 months dictate what value is and how we price, but we also look at what's active currently right when we go on the market, so that we can see, and if anyone's looking at it, can be like, okay, with these specs versus these specs, this price versus this price, oh, that one's the clear choice. That's what you want a buyer or anyone to look at when you're thinking about pricing and when you're comparing other properties. And so helping your seller client get into a buyer's client mind that's going to help you explain to them, okay, this is why I'm strategically pricing, or why I advise you to price it in this range, is because not only do we have to get a buyer to choose your house over this other one that's your competition, but also it has to appraise, right? So, and then obviously, underpricing, which doesn't happen quite as often, but underpricing can create a sense of urgency that does attract multiple offers, which, if you underprice it strategically, not out of ignorance, but strategically, that can it can get multiple offers and bump up that price. But if you do it too much, that actually can alter the perceived value of it and cause buyers to be like, well, what's wrong? This is $50,000 less than all these other homes. It doesn't seem like the specs are much different. There must be something wrong with that, right? So there's a fine line between underpricing strategically and underpricing out of ignorance. Okay. All right, let's check in. Do we have any more chat? Is this kind of stuff helpful for you guys? Like, do you guys think about or study sales psychology and like the emotions of your clients? Do you understand how they make decisions? Do you find out what is their personality type? How do they like to be communicated with? Like all of the, I could nerd out on this stuff. To be fair, I was a psychology major, so I do love this stuff. But any of this, if you can take any nugget from this and apply it, or at least like, even if there's not a specific script, which we have tons of scripts in the vault, but sometimes just having understanding and talking about and thinking about these concepts as a whole helps you then when you're in it with your client and one of these objections comes up, or the next time you talk with the seller and they want to overprice your property, you can be like, oh yeah, Jen was talking about, okay, the emotions involved in this and what are the negative impacts on making an overpricing decision or whatever. So my goal is that any coaching sessions that I do, any webinars that I do, whatever, is to actually give you real tools and resources, and then the science or the psychology behind why we do those things, or why this script works, or explaining things this way and educating in that way. So anyways, feel free to give me that info, and what you're thinking and what you do is the stuff that you guys like to study and understand and know about. Okay, let's also talk about a buzzword, emotional intelligence. Okay, super important to have emotional intelligence, definitely just in general, but in negotiations specifically. So EQ is what they call it, emotional intelligence. Your EQ is it's a key factor in navigating your client emotions, managing their expectations and the other side expectations, right? Because you have to talk to the other agent on the other side. You have to talk to vendor partners. You have to talk to lenders, inspectors, title companies, all of the things. So to be able to do that, having an emotional intelligence or EQ level that's high, you're going to be more likely to negotiate effectively if your emotional intelligence level is high. So when you understand and respond to emotional cues in a better way, you can obviously better guide your clients through those difficult decisions, whether they're buying or they're selling. And empathy, I think, is not often talked about in sales, but showing empathy, you guys, helps build rapport with your clients and lets them know that not only do you understand their concerns, but you actually care about what they want. And when people, and this is just people, it's not just clients, this is when people feel heard, felt, seen, if someone feels truly understood, they're more likely to trust you. And trust is the ultimate foundation for any relationship, whether it's a spouse, a partner, a kid, an employee, employer, whatever it is. So trust is super, super important. So when you acknowledge their emotions around whatever a buyer's behavior, seller's behavior, you can adjust your approach and provide the right support to help them move forward. So it is important that you understand the psychology, because not everybody has the same personality type. Not everybody communicates the same way. It doesn't mean you have to change who you are in order to help different people, but it helps to have some understanding about that. So part of that comes with just managing expectations. So you got to be able to set clear, realistic expectations from the start to help prevent the emotional decision making later on. So if you tackle head on what this particular client, what their emotional patterns are, what their personality type is, what their situation is, and what objections they're going to have, what fears they're going to have, if you address those things up front, you're going to build that layer of trust. So for example, if a buyer or seller's expectations are not aligned with the market realities, that's going to lead to frustration and hesitation, which is often the downfall. Like that's when you leave money on the table. That's when a deal doesn't get done, right? So if you can address these things ahead of time and have that understanding of the psychology behind it and their decision making, you're going to sell more real estate. And so, okay, what do we manage expectations around? So yes, it's important to walk through the process of what it looks like to buy a house, what it looks like to sell a house. Okay. But a lot of agents stop there. You want to manage their expectations around pricing, around timelines for things, which is why it's important. Should you know what average days on market are for that particular area? Because areas can be different. Just don't just take the statewide average days on market or nationwide. Like that's what gets reported on Google. But you guys have tools as real estate agents to look very specifically at the area that they're trying to buy in or the area that they're trying to sell in about what average days on market is. And also managing expectations about what negotiations look like. Okay, so for example, let's say you're in a seller's market. Okay, the sellers have more leverage, there's low inventory, lots of buyers. Negotiation, managing expectations around that, like, hey, you're probably going to have to make decisions quicker than what it might naturally feel like. You might actually like the first home that you walk in and see. You might have to level up on your offer price because you're putting 0% down and you're competing with people that are putting 20% down. Or when we get into the repair section, I know it's going to feel, you're going to get this laundry list of from this inspection report that's going to say all the things that are wrong with it. But you know what? In this market, with how competitive it is, we're going to need to just pick the top few things that are health and safety primarily. And like we can't ask much more than that if you actually want to get this house with all the competition, right? So it's setting those expectations around how negotiations are going to go and how you're going to work. So that way they don't feel blindsided or disappointed when like if it's a seller, if offers come in lower than they expected, or it doesn't sell right away, or if a buyer doesn't get all the repairs that they wanted on their wish list. Okay. Let's check in. How you guys doing? Very, very helpful. I need to study it. Yes, yes, you guys. And because Jessica and Brittany, you guys have access to the vault. All of these docs are in there for you to read anytime you want. American culture is so not conducive to negotiating culture. Yeah. Yes. Like instant gratification, cheap, fast, all the things. Yeah. Real estate doesn't always work that way, unfortunately. Okay. So how do we leverage these psychological insights in your actual strategy? Because understanding all of these psychological factors that are at play in real estate allows you to build stronger relationships with your clients and become more strategic in your approach. So that building trust and transparency piece. So not just being transparent about like obvious things, common sense things, but like being transparent about market conditions and how that could impact the transaction. A real estate agent that is really good can take all the headlines out there, can take all the things that are said in the news and what they're hearing online and on social media, and also narrow that down into how does it affect them though, right? That's what everyone really wants to know. I've been hearing all of this stuff. What that is they are wanting information. They want to be educated on, well, how is that going to impact me? And clients appreciate honesty. You appreciate honesty, right? How many of you have that friend that just says what is on everybody else's mind and just is not afraid to say it, right? We love that friend, okay? Because that transparency builds trust. You know the friend that you can go to and be like, does my outfit look whack? Or like, can I rock this? And the one that's going to be like, yeah, no, change your shirt, not working, or yes, work, right? Like, so we all hopefully have that friend that you can go to that I'm gonna ask their opinion on my outfit because hubby's just gonna tell me I look great no matter what I wear. I could wear a potato sack and be like, yeah, looks sexy, honey. Okay. So anyways, explaining why you're recommending a certain price or strategy based on market conditions, based on what's going on in the economy, based on what's happening in their local area, and using those comparables and talking about buyer behavior. Oftentimes our sellers can get so focused again on the emotional piece about, well, my house is better because this, or my kids grew up here, like whatever, and saying, okay, helping them come out of their seller mindset and hop into a buyer, for example. Say, hey, pretend you're a buyer on this and that you don't have any ties to this house. We're looking at this house and then the one that's across the street. And like visually showing them and comparing those things and helping them look at the other side of the aisle of whatever it might be. And then framing and anchoring are super important. These are techniques. So framing, for example, is the way that the information is presented. Anchoring is setting a reference point to help clients make decisions. So, for example, if you're discussing discussing a listing price with a seller, you're framing the price in comparison to other recent sales that can help justify your recommendation, just like I was just talking about. And then you can use anchoring when discussing offers or counter offers by focusing on how they compare to the initial listing price or the previous offers. So you can use framing on how you present and anchoring so that they can help make a decision. Another example of anchoring is what I'll do. Let's say I have a buyer client and we're looking at 7 properties in a day or 5 properties in a day. What I'll do is I'll anchor the first property as what we compare everything else to so that it can help guide their brain to make decisions. So that first house we're going to look at, I'll have them scale of 1 to 5. How much do you like this? Maybe they say, it's a 4. This hits like almost every single box. Okay. This house is the standard for all the other ones that we're going to compare it to. Then we go to the second one. And then the second, okay, rate it 1 to 5. What do you think? Oh, this one's a 5. This is literally everything that we want. This is like this. It's going to be hard to follow this one. This one's amazing. Okay, perfect. I want you to completely forget about house number 1. House number 2 is now our anchor. You don't have to say anchor, but that's what you're doing. You're anchoring it so that house number 2 is all they have to think about. Instead of comparing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 all together and like, you can also use an anchor point like saying, the house with the blue door. And every time you leave the house, you'll be like, okay, this house is the blue door house, or this house is the giant tree house, right? So you're anchoring it in their mind so they can help remember, and you're clearing space of all the noise and the details that don't matter. So those are just some pro tips for you as we're going along here. Let's do a little pulse check. Fashion says yes, 100%. Sweet. My team is texting me. Oh, the deliverables. Thanks, guys. Okay, so diving back into it, how do we overcome buyer and seller hesitation? This happens a lot. For buyers, explain the potential for appreciation and the investment value or how the home fits into their long-term goals. This can help them see beyond that initial hesitation and connect more emotionally to the purchase. Very, very important to do this because there's lots of not only time frames or like along the transaction where they would cause them to have hesitation, but also just in general, any fears that they might have. But it's our job to focus them on the long-term thing, right? Like we know that investing in real estate is a smart decision. Obviously, you got to, invest well and you got to be smart with your money and not over leverage yourself, of course. But all of that should have been established in the beginning when they got their pre-approval letter. They know what their mortgage payment's going to be on the price range of house that they're looking into, right? So all of that is the framework is set up. And when those fears come up, this is where you remind them of, okay, when you invest in real estate, this is, I would need to answer this call, but it's going to be a long conversation. So I'll call her back. So the investment value, right? Like over time, as long as you're not over leveraged in this house and you're not stretching your budget so much to where if one little thing happened that you'd be way overspending, right? Like over time, you're going to be able to live in this house for a while and your payment's going to stay pretty much the same unless property values go up, whatever. Or not property values, I mean, property taxes. Okay, those you can't control, but they're going to have the same mortgage payment. And what are their long-term goals? If this is a more longer-term house, okay, great. This is the most expensive that you're going to pay for in like right now. And history tells us that prices appreciate. So if this isn't your forever home, the quicker that you buy and invest, the quicker you're going to start benefiting from appreciation. Okay. And then for sellers, addressing their concerns about pricing and time on the market, all of that, again, super crucial. And then helping them be confident in that pricing strategy because you know your stuff, because you know what's going on in the market, you know what's going on in the economy, you know how it's going to impact them and what buyer trends are. And it can help ease their fears around initial feedback. So because every once in a while, you get some feedback from a showing on a house that's like kind of not extreme, but just like, oh, like didn't think of that, or like, and that's it. Like I had actually on my Washington house that I have listed, they were mentioning like little things that can be changed, but it was like a big deal to them. And no one else had mentioned that. But like to this agent, it was like such a big deal that she saw some ants like somewhere. And I'm like, it's Oregon. It's wet and rainy. Like there's the ants come out every single year at this time. Like it just happens. It doesn't mean their house is dirty. So like little things like that, it just, it can help when you let people know, hey, it's okay if you get some feedback like that. Not this house is not for everyone. We're trying to find the person that it is for. So some practical things that you can use to apply that sales psychology for sellers would be emphasize the psychological benefits of a well-priced home, right? So if you want a quicker sale, if you want more competitive offers, if you want a lower risk of price reductions, and then you can use examples of similar homes that sold quickly for top dollar to back up your claims. That's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, especially if I go into an appointment, which I always go into an appointment, at least having some knowledge of what they think their property is worth. You can take a look at recent sales, find out how many days they were on market, what they sold for. Did they do any price reductions? Like you don't need a degree to look at that stuff. That's stuff that you can look at the numbers and then you can paint the picture of what that looks like. Like, hey, this property sat in the market for 123 days. They ended up selling for this versus this comp. They sold in 11 days for this price. They sold quicker. The price points were actually roughly the same, or maybe this one sold for a little bit more. So if you want to sell your house quicker, this is the price point we should probably list closer to, because this had a better result. So you have the data to actually show them that. And then for buyers, focus on the emotional and financial rewards of finding that right property. So using their personal motivations. This is why it's important. That's like one of the number one questions. Why do you want to buy a house? So whether they're starting a family or investing in a long-term asset, or maybe they're moving closer to grandkids. So using that and going back to that as a way to frame the home buying process in a way that resonates with them, and reminding them of that, the big picture of why they're doing what they're doing when they get lost in the weeds in the middle of the transaction. Cool. How we doing? Last 75 years for 7 property has generally gone up. Yes. What's up, Daniel, the realtor? He's like, what are we talking about? We're talking about sales psychology. So if you're just joining, I am doing a little deep dive today into just one of the aspects that you guys can find in the vault of the Hype Collective. The Hype Collective is my group coaching experience, the membership that you can be a part of. We just launched last week, so it is not too late to get all signed up. We've only had one group coaching session so far, which if you missed it, no big deal, because I'll record all of those live sessions and I pop them into the vault for you guys as replays. So when you join, you're going to get instant access to the vault. And I have this little screenshot behind me of just a few snapshots of the things that are in that vault. There's tons of stuff in there. And I can go over and tell you guys all the things, but everything from scripts to lead generation systems, processes. We've got luxury stuff, investor stuff. We have ChatGPT courses. We have tools and resources, social media marketing, AI and technology stuff. We have a toolbox that's in there. We've also just added, and that'll be built out pretty soon here. We have a vendor folder in there. So I've got some great vendor partners that they'll be putting in some really cool stuff, tools, resources, tips, tricks, all the things for you guys that are a part of the Hype Collective. So you get the group coaching with me live twice a month, every second and fourth Tuesday. You get access to the vault right away, and you get access to a private area in my Discord channel where you guys can collaborate. You can co-work together. There is a virtual office in there, which is awesome. You guys can get referrals from each other and practice your scripts together, whatever it is. So, question from Kevin. What is your opinion on wholesalers? Or on wholesalers, excuse me. So I've worked with them. I have had not so great experiences with some of them, and some of them do an awesome job. So it really just depends. To be honest, my opinion on it is kind of the same for any sales position. There are some great ones and there are some not so great ones. And, I think that the negative reputation around it is for people who either don't have good practices, don't have good, integrity, and or don't know what they're doing, because they can really cost people money if you don't know what you're doing. So if you're a wholesaler, like I work with them, I've no problem with them as long as they know what they're doing and or are doing it with someone that knows what they're doing and are getting advised by somebody who's experienced. I think that those deals can work for be a win-win-win for all parties involved if it's done right. So. Mudslingers, yes, we don't want those. So I think it's something that it's a great way to earn income and invest and things like that. It's a great opportunity, but just make sure you're doing it right. Partner with someone that knows what they're doing. All right, so where were we? So, like some action steps to apply all of these things that we're talking about. So, developing a client centric mindset. So, approaching every interaction with a focus on understanding your client's emotions and their motivations, and then using empathy to guide your responses and build that trust with them. I think, that may sound common sense, but a lot of real estate agents, which I think a lot of the reasons why sometimes real estate agents get a bad rap is because they're not client centric, and we've got commission breath, or don't have clients' best interest in mind, or don't take the time to understand what's going on, not only like emotionally with their clients, but also what's going on as a whole in the market and the economy, all the things, and how that impacts them. So developing a client centric mindset, and then monitoring the market sentiment. So keeping eyes on the emotional tone of the market, like what are the headlines that you're hearing? What are the buyers and sellers out there feeling? And then using that emotion or that information to then help your clients make better decisions. So whether they're buying or selling, you could do that obviously on either end of it. And then also using psychological insights to adjust pricing and your negotiation tactics. So leveraging the power of the principles like framing and anchoring and EQ to set realistic pricing expectations and then influence the negotiations. So, um, yeah, so understanding those emotional drivers behind why clients make the decisions that they do, and recognizing the impact of what's going on in the market as a whole, and then using those psychological techniques to guide your strategy, you're going to close more deals. Like if you understand all of these things and you implement, you're going to build stronger client relationships, and then ultimately you're going to increase your success in the real estate market by actually providing a good service and providing real value to people and genuinely help them build wealth and make good financial decisions. So, anyways, if you're just joining, we've been talking about sales psychology within the vault. So, my Hype Collective, I have a vault that you can see screenshotted behind me, just a few screenshots and snapshots of all the things that are in there. But we have so many different topics that we go over, not only in the coaching that I do with the Hype Collective, but also in this vault. So let me just give you a rundown of everything that's in here. Okay. So these are all just the folders. These are just the folder topics, and these folders open to more folders with more documents and systems and processes. So one of the things that I'm going over is in the mindset and sales psychology folder. We have buyer systems, seller systems, ChatGPT courses, client retention and loyalty systems. We've got investor stuff. We have lead conversion and lead generation systems. We have leveraging systems. Also luxury systems. If you want to build out a luxury brand and how to implement, literally from starting by never selling a luxury home to full-blown marketing, branding, how to literally script and talk with luxury people, how to go find them, what's important to them, all the things. We have the whole luxury system built out in the vault. We have marketing and social media systems. I upload the coaching replays in here. We've got open house systems. We have productivity systems, a scripts vault with hundreds of scripts in there, all different, not only different lead types, but also different personality types within the lead types. So for example, let's say you've got an expired listing or expired lead that you want to call. We have scripts that are built out for maybe the expired seller who is really frustrated and kind of angry and, high D personality. And then we also have, the defeated and the, down expired seller that is, just must not be good timing, whatever. So we give you scripts for different personality types within those lead types. And then, we have tools and templates as well. So real life, like actual things that you can go implement. We also teach you in the ChatGPT courses on, you could take anything and everything in this vault that we've created and copy paste, whether it's a script or an email marketing campaign or DM campaigns, whatever it is, and you can paste it. We teach you how to create your custom instructions in ChatGPT, right? Build out your brand, your voice, your personality, your tone in your ChatGPT. Then take the stuff from the vault, plug it into ChatGPT, and have it spit a script or a campaign back out to you that matches your brand tone. So stuff that's super important. We really need to know how to use this as real estate agents if you don't want to get left behind. So we've got the group coaching sessions that are live twice a month. We have the vault that you have access to, and then you get access to the private area in my Discord channel for just the Hype Collective members only. And so we collaborate in there. People pop in there and work all hours of the day. People like to collaborate, like to give referrals, or like to make calls together. lots of different stuff that you can do within that Discord channel. So you get the community, you get the tools and resources, and you get the live coaching with the Hype Collective. So if you guys want to check that out, you can go to my link in the profile. And the first button on that Linktree link is the Hype Collective. So if you go to that, it'll take you to a page that tells you all the things that you get. And then when you go to the checkout page, then you can either choose to pay monthly or for the full year upfront. And it works out to be less than $6 a day to do that. So, skip your trip to Starbucks and join the Hype Collective and sell more real estate so that you can, buy an espresso machine or buy multiple coffees in a day. That's the idea. So essentially what it works out to is if you sell one more deal, which the idea is not to just sell one more deal for being a part of the Hype Collective, but the math works out that you will more than get that return on your investment back just by selling one more deal. So that's what we're chatting about today. I just went over all the different folders that are in there. And if there's any particular topic that you guys want me to chat about, I can pull up any one of those things in here and go through it and give you a little sneak peek. Where were we at before? So lots of fun stuff in the sales and mindset psychology stuff. Let me see here. There was one I saw earlier. Oh, there's some examples of this stuff. There's just so many good things in here, you guys. It's hard to even pick what things to talk about because there's so many things in the vault that are super fun and cool to chat about. So many folders and files. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You guys, what's up? If you're a real estate agent, pop in the chat. Where do you sell real estate? We can collab. Oh, also, I want you guys to know. So every single month on the third Tuesday of the month, which is tomorrow, I do a follow-up is forever event. It's free. It's a live webinar that I do. You can sign up at my profile link. I think it's like the second or third button down on my Linktree, and you can register for that. Like I said, it is free. It's jam-packed full of valuable ways. There's going to be resources, tools, tips, tricks, and stuff that I talk about to enhance your follow-up, because follow-up is really the lifeblood of your real estate business. And, I used to think it was lead generation, which I always tell people it's like lead generation and lead follow-up is like 1A, 1B. And I think I used to say lead generation was 1A and follow-up was 1B, but I think I've switched my position and my standpoint on that. Because you could have thousands of leads in your database and in your CRM system, but if you're not following up with them, like that's missed opportunity. You're not making money. You don't have a business with that. So that's why I prioritize talking about lead follow-up a lot and coach and train the agents that are in the Hype Collective and in my Hype Squad to do follow-up well, be a modern agent, and how do clients want to be followed up in this day and age? What are the ways we can do it? What are our scripts? How often? What modes of communication? All those things are super important. So every single month when I do the Follow Up is Forever event, I go over different things. So it's not the same event on repeat. It's going over different aspects of following up and how to be better at that in your business. So go check that out in my profile link to sign up. Like I said, it's free. It's every third Tuesday at 2:00 Eastern. So 11:00 Pacific, I believe. So check that out. It's also conveniently happens to be the same time, same day and time, but it's the second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 2:00 Eastern, where I do the Hype Collective group coaching call. That is paid, but the Follow-Up is Forever event, that is free every third Tuesday at 2:00 Eastern. So go check that out. Wanted you guys to know about that. I'm also super excited. I have some amazing speakers lined up that I'm going to be interviewing for my podcast, The Hype Seat. So go check that out. I put all the replays on Spotify and YouTube. So I have a Spotify account. You guys go check that out. Follow me, follow the Hype Seat. Estate of Jen is my channel on Spotify and YouTube. So go check that out. Also, if you want to be interviewed on my podcast, feel free to send me a DM or email and let me know why you want to be on the podcast, what you want to talk about, and we'll see if you'd be a good fit. So, and I'm not just interviewing. I know my one of my first interviews was with a really big hitter. He was the former CEO of Keller Williams International, Chris Heller. That was amazing. If you guys missed that, you can catch it on my YouTube channel, A State of Jen, or The Hype Seat, which is also A State of Jen on Spotify. So you can go rewatch that. A ton of gold in that conversation with Chris Heller. It was amazing. So rewatch that for sure if you haven't seen it. But yeah, so I've got some big hitters. Also, I'm looking for rising stars as well to interview, because I think, a lot of the people that we listen to on podcasts and all of that, they've in our minds, like they've already arrived. And it's like the gap between where we are and where they are sometimes can feel a little bit overwhelming or unattainable. So I also want to interview the people that are in the grind, that are on their way up and, rising stars and have had some success, but maybe they have, goals that they haven't reached yet or whatever. And so I think talking about the journey is really important and interesting as well, because the road to success is not pretty, it's not linear. And I think a lot of times we forget that when all we see are people's highlight reels or the I made it moment headline. So that's something super important to me that I'm interested in. I like to hear about people's journeys and where they're at on their way to the top. Thank you so much, Jer Bear, for giving the breakdown in the time frame of all the things. Excuse me. Oh man. Long weekend, huh? Jeremy's like, yes, it was. Cool. All right. I think I'm gonna pop off right now, you guys. I've got to go do some things, and kiddos are gonna be home soon. So have a fantastic day. To recap all the ways that you can get connected. Number one, go check out the Hype Collective. All of the things that I'm talking about are in my profile link. The Hype Collective is where you can join my group coaching membership. So you get live coaching with me every second and fourth Tuesday. You get access to this vault that you're seeing on the screen with a ton of tools and actual resources, stuff that you can implement in your business right away. And you get access to the community. It's a private area in my Discord channel where you can collaborate with everyone that's a part of the Hype Collective. So definitely go check that out. Also, my Follow Up is Forever event, which is every third Tuesday of the month, which happens to be tomorrow at 2:00 Eastern. That is free. You just sign up for the Zoom link that is on my profile, and then check out my podcast interviews. I've got that on Spotify and on YouTube for you guys. You can sign up for my newsletter as well. That's also free. I commonly, I'll send out just freebies, tools, tricks, and stuff to help you in your real estate business and keep you guys connected, let you know when I've got events going on or interviews and things like that. So check it out there. What else? We have an updated Amazon book list in there for you if you are a reader and want to continue to learn. I've got some of my top books, anything from sales, psychology to personal development, business development, mindset stuff, real estate books, all the things to help you in your business and your personal life. Lots of links in there, some discounts on different products that I use that I swear by. So lots of stuff to check out. Just go to my profile link. You'll see all the things. So check it out. Oh, thanks, Erin. Erin Jensen, how you doing? Good to see you. Yes, we constantly add you guys to that profile link. So check it out, see what's new there. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have. So feel free to DM me anytime. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Monday. Go do your lead gen, go do your follow-up, and go make more sales and be valuable. Okay, bye. Stay hype.